My mother-in-law brought her son's ex-girlfriend to Christmas dinner as her plus one. My husband didn't say a word. I'd spent 2 days preparing. The ham was glazed perfectly. The table looked beautiful with the ivory runner I'd bought specifically because his mother once mentioned she liked ivory, and I'd even ironed the napkins because she always noticed those things. When the doorbell rang at exactly 6:10 p.m., I expected her usual routine. The critical once-over of my outfit. The backhanded compliment about my cooking. Maybe a pointed comment about when we'd finally give her grandchildren. Instead, she walked in with Brianna. The one whose photos still lived in a silver frame in his childhood bedroom at his mother's house. The one his mother brought up at every holiday for the first 4 years of our marriage until I finally asked her to stop. Brianna's going through a difficult divorce, his mother announced, settling them both on the couch like this was completely normal. I couldn't let her spend Christmas alone, you understand. My husband froze mid-hug with his mother. His face went completely pale, but he just mumbled something about getting drinks and disappeared into the kitchen. I stood there holding a cheese plate I'd arranged an hour earlier, trying to process what was happening. Brianna gave me an apologetic smile. I told her this might be awkward. Nonsense, his mother said, taking off her coat and handing it to me like I was the help. We're all adults here. Dinner was torture. His mother had rearranged my carefully planned seating to put Brianna directly across from me. For 2 solid hours, she reminisced about their relationship while I passed dishes and tried to keep smiling. Remember when you and my son won that couple's costume contest? Remember that summer in Martha's Vineyard? Remember how you used to make him laugh? Remember when everyone thought you'd get married right out of college? Brianna had the decency to look uncomfortable, barely touching her food. My husband said absolutely nothing. He cut his ham into increasingly smaller pieces and pushed them around his plate while his mother rewrote family history, erasing me from the narrative entirely. I'd made his favorite dessert, the chocolate torte that takes 4 hours. His mother took one bite and said, "Brianna, you should give her your recipe for that mousse you used to make." My son loved that. After dessert, I started clearing plates with shaking hands. That's when I heard his mother's voice carrying from the living room, not even attempting to be quiet. "You know, Brianna, it's not too late. He's clearly never been truly happy. I can see it in his eyes." I walked in carrying a stack of plates. My husband was sitting in his father's old armchair, still completely silent, while his mother and his ex-girlfriend discussed his happiness like I wasn't even in the house. Something in me snapped. "We're leaving," I said, setting down the plates carefully on the coffee table. My husband finally looked at me. "Honey, don't overreact. Let's just get through tonight." Overreact? I kept my voice steady. "Your mother brought your ex-girlfriend to our Christmas dinner and has spent the entire evening suggesting you two get back together, and you haven't said a single word to stop it. She's just being dramatic," his mother said to Brianna, like I wasn't standing right there. "She's always been overly sensitive about everything." I went upstairs and packed a bag. My husband followed, finally finding his voice. "Where are you going? It's Christmas. You can't just leave." "I'm going to my sister's house. You can stay here with your real family." "That's not fair." "What's not fair?" I said, zipping the bag, "is that I just watched you let your mother disrespect me for 4 hours straight. What's not fair is that you didn't defend me once. Not once. That was 4 days ago. He's called 31 times. His mother called once to tell me I'd embarrassed her in front of a guest, and that I owed Brianna an apology. This morning, I got a text from Brianna that made my blood run cold. "We need to talk. There's something about that night you should know. Your mother-in-law didn't invite me. I invited myself, and it wasn't random." I stared at my phone for a solid 10 minutes before responding. My sister was at work, and I was alone in her guest room, surrounded by the bag I still hadn't unpacked. Part of me wanted to delete the message and pretend I'd never seen it, but I needed to know. "Can you meet today?" Her response came immediately. "Coffee shop on 5th and Main, 2 p.m. I arrived early and sat in the back corner watching the door. Brianna walked in at exactly 2 UR, wearing jeans and a sweater, looking nothing like the polished woman who'd sat across from me at Christmas. She ordered a coffee, spotted me, and slid into the booth. "Thank you for meeting me," she said. I didn't respond, just waited. She took a breath. "I need to start by saying I'm sorry, for all of it. I should never have agreed to come. But you did." "I did." She wrapped her hands around her cup. "Your mother-in-law called me 2 weeks before Christmas. I hadn't heard from her in over 10 years. She told me she was worried about her son, that he seemed unhappy in his marriage, that she thought seeing me might remind him of who he used to be." My stomach turned. "And you thought that was appropriate?" "No, God, no." I told her it was a terrible idea, but she kept calling, every day, telling me how her son had changed, how you were controlling him, how he'd lost himself. Brianna looked up. "She said you were trying to isolate him from his family, that he needed someone from his past to help him see what was happening." I laughed, but there was no humor in it. "I'm the one isolating him. She calls him 11 times a day. She has a key to our house and lets herself in whenever she wants. I've asked him to set boundaries for years, and he won't do it. I know that now." Brianna pulled out her phone and showed me a series of text messages. They were all from my mother-in-law, dating back 5 weeks. Each one painted me as some kind of villain, manipulative, cold, keeping her son from his mother, trying to turn him against his family. "Why are you showing me this?" I asked. "Because the night of the dinner, after you left, she told me the real plan." I felt my hands go cold. Brianna continued. "She said this was just the beginning, that she'd been documenting everything for months. Every time her son chose you over her, every holiday you'd hosted instead of going to her house, every time you'd suggested he put her calls to voicemail when we were eating dinner." She paused. "She's trying to build a case that you're alienating him from his family. She wanted me there as a witness, to show him what he gave up, to make him doubt his marriage." "That's insane." That's what I said. But she had this whole timeline planned out. She told me that after Christmas she'd increase the pressure, start showing up unannounced more often, create situations where he'd have to choose between you and her. She said most marriages can't survive that kind of stress, that eventually he'd see you were the problem. I sat back, trying to process this. Did he know about any of this? I don't think so. After you left, he was furious with her. Told her she'd crossed a line, but she just kept saying she did it because she loves him, that a mother knows what's best for her child. Brianna shook her head. He drove me home that night, apologized the entire way. I told him what his mother had said to me about the plan. He didn't believe me, said his mother would never do something like that. Of course he didn't believe it. He never believed anything negative about his mother. When she'd shown up to our house at midnight once because she had a nightmare and needed to see her son, he'd let her in. When she'd called me by his ex-wife's name repeatedly for our entire first year of marriage, he'd said it was just a mistake. When she'd told our friends at our engagement party that she'd always hoped he'd end up with someone more like her, he'd said she was joking. Why are you telling me this now? I asked. Brianna met my eyes. Because I got a call from her yesterday. She wanted to know if her son had contacted me, if we'd been talking. She sounded excited about it, like this was all going according to plan. She leaned forward. I have a daughter. She's 8 years old. And if I ever treated her future partner the way your mother-in-law treats you, I'd want someone to warn them, to give them evidence, to help them protect themselves. She pushed her phone across the table. I forwarded you all the messages. The calls are recorded too. I live in a one-party consent state for recording. I started documenting everything after that dinner because something felt really wrong. I looked at the phone, then back at her. What do you want from this? Nothing. I don't want anything. I just thought you should know what you're actually dealing with. She stood up. For what it's worth, your husband seems like he's in denial. But you're not crazy. His mother really is trying to destroy your marriage. She left. I sat there for another hour, reading through every message, listening to the voice recordings where my mother-in-law laid out her entire strategy like some kind of military operation. The recordings were damning, clear, calculating. When I got back to my sister's house, my husband was sitting on the front steps. He looked terrible, unshaven, eyes red. Your sister let me in, but I wanted to wait out here, he said, standing up. I didn't want to invade your space. A little late for worrying about invasions, I thought, but didn't say it. Can we talk? He asked. I unlocked the door and let him in. My sister had left for a work thing, so we had the house to ourselves. I sat on one end of the couch. He sat on the other. I'm sorry, he started. I should have said something at dinner. I should have defended you. I just froze. Seeing Brianna was such a shock and my brain couldn't process what was happening. Did you know your mother was planning to bring her? No, I swear. She told me she was bringing a friend from her book club. He ran his hands through his hair. I called her after you left. We had a huge fight. I told her she was out of line, that she can't interfere in our marriage like that. And what did she say? That she was trying to help me, that she could see I wasn't happy and she thought seeing Brianna would help me remember who I used to be. He looked at me. I told her that was completely inappropriate, that I love you, that I chose you. I pulled out my phone and played the first voice recording. My mother-in-law's voice filled the room, clear and sharp. The goal is to create doubt, make him question whether this marriage is really what he wants, make him remember what he had before her. My husband's face went white. What is this? I played another one, and another. His mother detailing her plan, explaining how she'd been working on this for months, discussing strategies for driving us apart. By the fourth recording, he was standing, pacing, looking like he might be sick. Where did you get these? Brianna, she met me today, gave me everything. I showed him the text messages. Your mother has been planning this for a long time. This wasn't about Christmas. This wasn't about Brianna. This was about breaking us up. He sat down hard on the couch. I don't understand. Why would she do this? Because she doesn't want you married to anyone who isn't her. I'd been thinking about this all afternoon. Look at the pattern. Every decision we make together, she undermines. Every boundary we set, she crosses. Every time you choose me, she punishes you by crying or playing the victim or showing up in crisis mode. She's been conditioning you your entire life to put her first. That's not true, isn't it? When was the last time you made a major decision without consulting her first? He opened his mouth to answer, then closed it. I could see him trying to think of an example and coming up empty. When we bought the house, who did you call first? I asked. When you got the job offer in Seattle, who talked you out of taking it? When we started talking about having kids, who told you we should wait because she wasn't ready to be a grandmother yet? She just cares about me. This isn't care. This is control. I pulled up the text message where his mother explicitly stated her goal was to end our marriage. Read it. She's not trying to help you. She's trying to own you. He read it, then read it again. His hands were shaking. I need to talk to her, he said finally. No, you need to decide what you want. I stood up, because I'm done living like this. I'm done being treated like the enemy in my own marriage. I'm done competing with your mother for your attention, and I'm done watching you choose her over me every single time it matters. That's not fair. You let her bring your ex-girlfriend to Christmas dinner. You sat there silently while she spent 4 hours trying to get you two back together. You didn't say a word to defend me, not one word. I felt the anger I'd been holding back for days finally surface. So no, I don't think I'm being unfair. I think I'm finally seeing clearly. He stood up. What do you want me to do? I want you to choose, because I'm not doing this anymore. I'm not going to beg my own husband to put me first. Either you're in this marriage, or you're not. I'm in it. Of course I'm in it. Then prove it. Set real boundaries with your mother. Stop taking her calls 11 times a day. Change the locks so she can't let herself into our house. Start making decisions with me instead of running to her for approval on everything. I sat back down. And maybe, just maybe, acknowledge that what she did wasn't a mistake or poor judgment. It was deliberate. It was calculated. And it was designed to destroy our relationship. He was quiet for a long time. Then he said, "Can I stay here tonight?" I don't want to go home. I don't want to be alone. You can take the other guest room. That night, I heard him on the phone. His voice was different than I'd ever heard it. Hard, angry. He was talking to his mother, and for the first time in our marriage, he wasn't backing down. The next morning, he was making coffee when I came downstairs. He looked exhausted, but more alert than he'd been in days. I need to show you something, he said, pulling up his phone. It was a text message exchange with his mother from late last night. Mill, darling, we need to talk about what happened. I think you're overreacting. Husband, you tried to sabotage my marriage. Brianna recorded everything. I heard it all. Mill, she's lying, trying to cause problems. This is exactly what I warned you about. She's turning you against your own mother. Husband, stop. I'm changing the locks tomorrow. You're not welcome in our house anymore. And I need space from you. Mill, you can't mean that. I'm your mother. After everything I've sacrificed for you. Husband, you tried to end my marriage. That's not love. That's control. I'm done. Mill, if you do this, you'll regret it. Family is forever. She's just a phase. Husband, I'm blocking your number for now. When I'm ready to talk, I'll reach out. Don't contact me or my wife. I stared at the messages. You actually did it. I should have done it years ago. He set down his phone. I've been thinking all night. About us, about her, about our entire relationship. He looked at me. You were right. I can't think of a single major decision I've made without her input. Not one. And every time you've asked me to set boundaries, I've made excuses. Why? Because it was easier than dealing with her reaction. Because I told myself she meant well. Because some part of me was still that kid who needed his mom's approval. He rubbed his face. But I'm 34 years old. I have a wife, and I let my mother treat you like an intruder in your own marriage. I didn't know what to say. I called a therapist this morning, he continued, left a message. I need to work through this with someone who can help me see the patterns, because clearly I can't see them on my own. That's good, I said carefully. Is it enough? He looked at me. For you to come home? To give me a chance to fix this? I thought about the past 4 days, about the years of small humiliations and big betrayals, about watching him choose his mother over me again and again. I don't know, I said honestly. I want it to be enough, but I also know that one conversation doesn't undo years of behavior, and your mother isn't going to just accept this. She's going to fight back. Let her fight. His jaw set. I'm done negotiating with her about my marriage. You say that now. But what happens when she shows up crying? When she tells you she's sick? When she threatens to cut you out of her will or turn the rest of the family against you? I'd thought about this all night too. She's going to use every weapon she has, and you've never been able to stand up to that. So what do? You get therapy, you maintain the boundaries, and you prove to me over time that this isn't just a reaction to getting caught, but a real change in how you operate. I met his eyes. I love you, but I'm not coming home until I believe you've actually chosen me, not just said it, proven it. He nodded slowly. How long? I don't know. A month, maybe 2. However long it takes for me to trust this is real. Okay. He stood up. I'll wait. However long you need. As he was leaving, I stopped him. One more thing. I want you to tell your family what your mother did. Not your version. The actual truth. With the recordings and texts as evidence. He hesitated. If you're serious about this, you can't protect her anymore, I said. The whole family needs to know what she's capable of. They won't believe it. Then that tells you something about them too. I crossed my arms. But I need to know you're willing to tell the truth, even when it's hard, even when it makes her look bad. He left. For the next week, I stayed with my sister and waited to see what would happen. My husband texted me daily updates. He'd changed the locks, started therapy. His mother had shown up at the house 6 times, finding herself locked out. She'd called from different numbers, trying to get around the block. She'd sent his aunt to guilt trip him. She'd told the extended family he was having a breakdown and needed intervention, and each time, he'd held the line. On day 8, he sent me a video. It was from a family gathering I'd purposely skipped. I pressed play. The video showed my husband standing in his parents' living room, surrounded by aunts, uncles, and cousins. His mother was sitting on the couch, already crying. I need to tell you all something, he said in the video. His voice was steady. Mom has been actively trying to sabotage my marriage. I have proof. He played the recordings. The entire family went silent. His mother's face shifted from crying to rage. Those are fake, edited. She's been planning this to turn you all against me. They're not fake, Mom. Brianna confirmed everything. She gave me the recordings herself. He looked around the room. I know you all love Mom. I love her too. But what she did was wrong. And I need you all to understand that if you see her trying to interfere in my marriage going forward, I expect you to shut it down. An aunt spoke up. Honey, I'm sure your mother just wants what's best for you. What's best for me is my wife, the woman I chose, the woman I love. He turned to his mother. You can either accept that and have a relationship with me, or you can keep trying to control me, and we'll have no relationship at all. Your choice. The video ended. I sat there staring at my phone, trying to process what I'd just watched. My husband called a minute later. Did you see it? I saw it. She's telling everyone I've been brainwashed, that you're abusing me. She's going full scorched earth. He paused. But I don't care anymore. I meant what I said. You're my family now. She can accept it or not. How do you feel? Terrified, relieved, guilty, all of it. He laughed, but it was shaky, but also free. For the first time in my life, I feel like I made a choice that was mine, not hers. Something in me softened. This was real. He was actually doing it. Come get me, I said. Really? We still have a lot to work through. You still need to keep going to therapy. And if you backslide even once, I'm out. But yes, come get me. He arrived in 20 minutes. Must have been speeding. We drove home in silence, his hand holding mine across the console. When we pulled into our driveway, I saw the new locks he'd installed. It felt symbolic somehow. Inside, the house was exactly as I'd left it. The Christmas decorations were still up. The ham I'd made was still in the fridge. wrapped in foil. He'd been living here alone, not changing anything, waiting for me to come home. That night, we talked for hours, really talked, about his childhood, about his mother's need for control, about how he'd normalize behaviors that weren't normal, about couples therapy and what boundaries would look like going forward, about the family members who'd taken his mother's side and the ones who'd stayed silent. My aunt called after the family meeting, he said. Told me I should forgive Mom because she's getting older, and this is how she shows love. What did you say? That destroying someone's marriage isn't love in any language. He looked at me. I think I'm going to have to cut off a lot of people. The ones who enable her. The ones who think I should just put up with it because she's family. Are you okay with that? I'm starting to be. He squeezed my hand. You were right about all of it. I couldn't see it because I was too close. But once you pointed it out, I couldn't unsee it anymore. The next few weeks were hard. His mother showed up at his work. She called my sister, trying to get to me. She sent emails detailing all the ways I'd supposedly alienated her son. She told family members I'd faked the recordings with AI. She created an entire narrative where she was the victim and I was the villain. But my husband didn't budge. He blocked her on everything. He told his work to ban her from the building. He stopped attending family events where she'd be present. And slowly, some family members started to see through her act. His younger brother called 6 weeks later. I need to tell you something. Mom did this to my relationship too. When I was dating Bethany in college, I thought it was just bad luck that we broke up. But now I'm realizing Mom was behind a lot of it. More family members came forward. Stories of relationships his mother had interfered with. Marriages she'd tried to control. Grandchildren she'd used as leverage. Decades of manipulation suddenly became visible once one person was brave enough to name it. My husband's therapist called it enmeshment. Explained how some parents see their children as extensions of themselves rather than separate people. How they sabotage any relationship that threatens their control. How the children grow up thinking this level of involvement is normal. It wasn't normal. And we were slowly learning what normal could look like. 2 months in, my husband had a moment of doubt. We were having breakfast when he got a call from his father. His mother had been hospitalized with chest pains. His father's voice was shaking. Your mother keeps asking for you. She says she can't breathe properly because the stress of losing you is killing her. My husband's face went pale. I watched him struggle, the old patterns trying to reassert themselves. I should go, he said after hanging up. What if something's really wrong? Then your father is there. She's in a hospital. She's getting care. I kept my voice calm. But you know what this is, right? You've seen this before. He told me about it in therapy. How his mother had faked emergencies before. A fall down the stairs when he'd moved out for college. A mysterious illness when he'd taken a job in another state. Migraines that appeared whenever he made plans without her. What if it's real this time? He asked. Then she'll get treatment and recover. But you going there and breaking your boundary won't change her medical outcome. It'll just teach her that emergencies work. He sat there for a long time, his phone in his hands. I could see the war happening inside him, the guilt, the fear, the old programming telling him a good son drops everything. My therapist told me to prepare for this, he said finally. She said Mom would escalate before she accepts the boundaries. But I didn't think it would feel this hard. It's supposed to feel hard. That's how you know you're breaking a real pattern. I reached across the table. But you don't have to do it alone. We can call your therapist together. We can talk through it. I'm here, he called his therapist. They talked for 40 minutes. When he hung up, he looked exhausted, but more resolved. She reminded me that my mother has done this before. And every time I've dropped everything, Mom recovered immediately. No lasting damage, just perfectly timed to get what she wanted. He took a breath. She said if I go now, I'm teaching Mom that fake emergencies still work, that I haven't really changed. What did you decide? I'm not going. I'll call Dad later to check in, but I'm not showing up at the hospital and giving Mom what she wants. It was brutal to watch him hold that line. His father called 11 more times that day. Other relatives texted saying his mother was asking for him, that she might not make it through the night, that he'd regret it if something happened. By evening, my husband was pacing the house, checking his phone constantly, looking like he might break. Tell me I'm doing the right thing, he said. You're doing the hard thing. Whether it's right depends on what you want your life to look like. I sat down on the couch. Do you want a life where every time your mother wants something, she can manufacture a crisis and you come running? Or do you want a life where you make choices based on what's actually true, not what she wants you to believe? At midnight, his father texted, your mother's been discharged. Chest pains were anxiety. She's home now. My husband stared at the message. She was faking. She was manipulating, I corrected. The anxiety might be real, but using it to force you to break your boundary is manipulation. He sat down next to me, his head in his hands. How did I not see this my whole life? Because she raised you to not see it. That's how this works. The next day in therapy, his therapist helped him process what had happened, explained that addicts to control don't stop when you set boundaries. They escalate, they test, they push harder before they either accept the boundary or cut you off entirely. Which do you think she'll do? He asked me that night. I don't know, but either way, you'll be okay. We'll be okay. 4 months after Christmas, we were having breakfast when my husband got a text from his father. They'd barely spoken since the hospital incident. His dad had mostly stayed neutral, which in its own way had been a choice. The text said, your mother had a stroke last night. She's in the hospital. She's asking for you. My husband stared at his phone. I watched his face cycle through emotions. Fear, guilt, doubt, but also something new. Skepticism. You don't have to go, I said carefully. She's my mother. She tried to destroy our marriage. I know. He set down his phone. But what if it's real this time? What if she actually had a stroke and I'm sitting here assuming it's fake? This was different than the chest pain incident. I could see that. A stroke was serious, verifiable, not something you could fake. If you go, I'm coming with you, I said. He looked surprised. You don't have to do that. Yes, I do. Because if you go alone, she'll manipulate you. She'll cry and apologize and promise to change, and you'll feel obligated to let her back in. I stood up. But if I'm there, you'll remember why you set the boundary in the first place. We drove to the hospital together. His father was in the waiting room looking exhausted. She's stable. The stroke was minor. They think she'll recover fully. Relief and suspicion warred on my husband's face. Can we see her? His father hesitated. She specifically asked to see you alone. No, my husband said. My wife comes with me or I don't go in at all. His father looked like he wanted to argue, then just sighed and led us to her room. My mother-in-law was in bed looking smaller and frailer than I'd ever seen her. The moment she saw my husband, tears started flowing. My baby, she whispered. I thought I'd never see you again. My husband stepped closer to the bed. I stayed near the door, watching. How are you feeling? He asked. Terrible, scared, and so sorry. She reached for his hand. I've had time to think, lying here, about what I did, about how I hurt you. I was wrong, so wrong. The tears kept coming. Please forgive me. I can't bear this distance between us. I'd seen this performance before. The tears, the vulnerability, the perfectly timed apology. But my husband had 4 months of therapy under his belt now. I'm glad you're okay, he said evenly. But I need to be clear. I'll visit you while you're in the hospital. I'll make sure you have what you need. But the boundaries I set don't change. You tried to end my marriage. That doesn't get erased by an apology. Her face shifted, just slightly. The vulnerability hardened into something else. I knew she was behind this. She's been poisoning you against me. No one poisoned me, Mom. I listened to your own words, your own plan. You recorded yourself explaining how you were going to destroy my relationship. That was taken out of context. There is no context that makes it okay. He pulled his hand back. I hope you recover fully. But nothing changes between us until you get help. Real help. Therapy. Acknowledging what you did. I'm your mother. After everything I've sacrificed, I'm leaving now. He turned to go, then stopped. And Mom, if you use this stroke to manipulate me or make me feel guilty, I won't come back at all. This is your choice. We left. His father followed us into the hallway looking stunned. She's not used to you standing up to her, he said quietly. I know. My husband's voice was tired. I should have done it years ago. His father glanced at me, then back at him. Your mother and I are going to marriage counseling. After watching what she did to you, I realized she's done similar things to me our entire marriage. Smaller, more subtle, but the same pattern. My husband looked shocked. You're standing up to her? I'm trying to. His father smiled sadly. You showed me it was possible, even necessary. In the car, my husband was quiet for a long time. Then he said, did you notice what she did in there? The tears? The timing. She waited until I started setting the boundary, then switched from vulnerable to angry in an instant, like flipping a switch. He stared out the window. My therapist told me to watch for that. Said people who manipulate have tells. That they can't maintain the vulnerable act when they're not getting what they want. You saw it. I saw it. He reached for my hand. I couldn't have done that without you there. I would have caved. Promised to think about it. Let her worm her way back in. But you didn't. But I didn't. He squeezed my hand. I'm starting to see who she really is. Not who I want her to be. Who she actually is. 6 months after Christmas, my mother-in-law started therapy. Not because she wanted to, but because my husband made it a condition of any relationship with him. Her therapist called him after her 4th session, with her permission, to tell him she'd been diagnosed with narcissistic personality disorder. Does that mean she can change? He asked me that night. I don't know, I said honestly. Some people can, some can't, but at least now you know what you're dealing with. His mother attended therapy for 8 months. Sometimes she'd text him updates. Look how hard I'm working. Look how much I'm trying. Don't you think that deserves another chance? But my husband held firm. Progress isn't the same as change, and change isn't the same as earning back trust. 7 months in, his mother sent a long email. It was different from her usual messages. No blame, no excuses, just acknowledgement. She wrote about how the therapist had helped her see her patterns, how she'd been trying to control her children because she was terrified of losing them, how she'd learned from her own mother that love meant possession, how she'd never learned to see her children as separate people with their own lives. She didn't ask for forgiveness, didn't demand a response, just said she was working on herself and hoped someday he'd be willing to talk. My husband showed me the email. What do you think? I think it's a start. But words are easy. The real test is behavior over time. Should I respond? Do you want to? He thought about it. Not yet. Maybe in a few months? If she keeps going to therapy? If she shows real change? 9 months after Christmas, my mother-in-law invited us to coffee. Not to her house. Not to ours. A neutral location. With his therapist's blessing, we agreed to meet. She looked different. Older, tired, but also more present somehow. Thank you for coming, she said. I know I don't deserve it. We sat down. The silence was awkward. I've been working with my therapist on taking accountability, she started. Not just saying sorry, but understanding what I did and why. So I want to try that now if you'll let me. My husband nodded. I tried to destroy your marriage. I wanted you to leave your wife and come back to me, not as a son, but as my emotional support person. I've been using you to fill the emptiness in my own life since your father checked out emotionally decades ago. She took a breath. I saw her as competition. Every choice you made with her felt like a rejection of me. And instead of dealing with my own issues, I tried to eliminate the competition. I glanced at my husband. He was listening, but his face was unreadable. I manipulated situations. I lied. I brought your ex-girlfriend to Christmas specifically to hurt your wife and make you doubt your marriage. I planned it for weeks. I knew exactly what I was doing. She looked at both of us. There's no excuse for that. No explanation that makes it okay. I was wrong, completely wrong. Why now? My husband asked. Why the change? Because I lost you, and I realized that losing you was worse than facing why I was the way I was. She pulled out her phone and showed us her therapy calendar, 2 sessions a week for 9 months. My therapist says I may never fully overcome this. That narcissistic personality disorder doesn't just go away, but I can learn to manage it, to recognize my pattern, to stop myself before I act on them. What do you want from this? I asked. She looked at me directly for the first time. Nothing. Or maybe eventually a relationship with my son that's healthy. But I know I haven't earned that yet. I just wanted you both to know I'm trying, that I see what I did, that I'm sorry. We talked for an hour. It was careful, tentative, but also real in a way our interactions had never been before. As we were leaving, she said, I don't expect you to forgive me. I don't expect a relationship. But if you'd be willing, I'd like to do this again in a month. Same place, same terms, just talking. My husband looked at me. I nodded slightly. 1 month, he said. We'll see how it goes. In the car, he was quiet, processing. What are you thinking? I asked. That I've never heard her take accountability like that. Never heard her admit she was wrong without making excuses or blaming someone else. He drove in silence for a minute. I don't know if she can really change, but I've never seen her try before. We'll see, I said. Actions over time matter more than words in a coffee shop. A year after Christmas, we hosted our own holiday dinner, just us and the family members who'd supported us. His mother was not invited. She sent a gift anyway. My husband sent it back unopened. I used to think cutting off your mother was the worst thing you could do, he said, watching me light candles on the table. But now I think staying with someone who destroys you is worse. I walked over and kissed him. We survived. We did more than survive. We built something better. He pulled me close. I'm sorry it took so long. I'm sorry you had to fight so hard to be seen. You're seeing me now. That's what matters. The doorbell rang. His brother and sister-in-law arrived with their kids. His father came alone, having finally left his mother after 38 years of marriage. My sister brought her girlfriend. We filled the house with people who actually wanted to be there, who actually supported our relationship, who actually chose love over control. As we sat down to eat, my husband reached for my hand and squeezed it under the table. I squeezed back. This was what Christmas was supposed to feel like. What family was supposed to feel like. Safe, chosen, real. His mother still sends emails sometimes. Still tells people I stole her son. Still paints herself as the victim in a story where she was the villain. But those emails go straight to a folder my husband never opens. Those stories reach fewer and fewer people who believe them. And us? We're building a life where love doesn't come with conditions, where boundaries are respected, where choosing your partner doesn't mean betraying your family, because your partner is your family. 14 months after Christmas, we found out I'm pregnant. My husband cried when I told him. Happy tears this time, not the conflicted tears he used to cry when his mother would manipulate him into guilt. Are you going to tell her? I asked. He thought about it for a long time. Maybe. Eventually. If she keeps making progress in therapy. If she shows she can be safe. He put his hand on my stomach. But this is ours. Our joy. Our family. She doesn't get automatic access to it just because she gave birth to me. We'd been meeting his mother monthly. Each time she showed up. Each time she took more accountability. She started making amends to other family members she'd hurt. She apologized to me specifically for the things she'd said and done over the years. She didn't ask for closeness or demand forgiveness. Just showed up, did the work, and left. Her therapist said it was one of the more successful cases she'd seen of someone with NPD genuinely trying to change. But she was also clear that relapse was always possible, that we'd need to stay vigilant. That trust, once broken this badly, might never fully return. 18 months after Christmas, my husband and I went to our ultrasound, found out we were having a girl. On the way home, he said, I want to tell Mom, not to give her access, just to see if she can handle good news without making it about her. We met his mother at the coffee shop, told her about the baby, about the gender. She cried, but different tears than before. Not manipulative tears, just overwhelmed grandparent tears. Thank you for telling me, she said. I know I don't have a right to know, that you could keep this from me and it would be deserved. We're telling you because you've been showing up, my husband said. For 18 months, you've been consistent. That means something. Can I ask what happens next? She said carefully. Or is it too soon? It's too soon to know, I said honestly. But we're not closing the door completely. We're watching, seeing if this change is permanent. If you can prove you're safe. What would safe look like? She asked. My husband thought about it. No manipulation, no trying to control our decisions, no undermining me to my wife or trying to drive a wedge between us, no making our daughter into your emotional support person the way you did with me. He met her eyes. If we let you into our lives, it has to be as a grandmother who respects boundaries, not as the center of our universe. She nodded slowly. I'm working on that with my therapist, learning what healthy grandparent relationships look like. It's hard. Everything in me wants to insert myself into every decision, but I'm learning to sit with that discomfort instead of acting on it. 2 years after Christmas, our daughter was born. My mother-in-law met her when she was 2 weeks old, in the hospital waiting room, for 30 minutes, supervised. She held her granddaughter and cried. She's beautiful. She is, my husband said. And she's going to grow up seeing healthy relationships, seeing boundaries respected, seeing what love looks like without control. I'm glad, his mother said quietly. I'm glad she won't experience what I put you through. We're taking it slow. His mother sees our daughter once a month, always supervised, always with clear time limits. And so far, she's respected every boundary we've set. I don't know if his mother will ever be fully trustworthy. I don't know if the change will last, but I know we're stronger than we've ever been. I know my husband finally chose me. And I know that sometimes the healthiest thing you can do is walk away from family who treats you like property. That Christmas dinner changed everything. Not because it was the worst thing his mother had done, but because it was finally visible, undeniable, recorded, and my husband couldn't excuse it away anymore. Sometimes the worst moments lead to the best changes. Sometimes you have to lose the family you were born into to build the family you choose. And sometimes standing up to the person you feared your whole life is the most loving thing you can do, both for yourself and for them. Because real love doesn't manipulate. Real love doesn't destroy. Real love doesn't require you to sacrifice yourself to prove your devotion. Real love sets you free. And sometimes, just sometimes, real love can motivate someone to change. Not because they're entitled to another chance, but because losing what they took for granted becomes the catalyst they needed. My mother-in-law is still in therapy, still working on herself, still showing up month after month. It doesn't erase what she did. It doesn't undo the years of damage. But it shows that even people capable of terrible things can sometimes choose differently. Whether we'll ever have a fully healthy relationship with her remains to be seen. But we've built a life that doesn't depend on her approval, a marriage that doesn't require her permission, a family that belongs to us. And that's what freedom feels like.